And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Hey everybody, this is Shaun Leonard reporting for Is It a Bicycle? I'm here with Jennifer Lafleur from the series Wedlock. Wedlock is a story about two friends, a man and a woman, who decide that they should just be together, and they enlist a couples counsellor, therapist, played by Rob Corddry, to try and shove them together in a series of eccentric and funny ways. So, hey, Jennifer, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad that I got through that synopsis. I'm very proud of myself.
You did it. You did it. You won.
And everything after this is easy.
Free sailing after this.
Yeah. So the first thing that I wanted to ask you about in terms of Wedlock is stories about love and relationships are something that we've been making movies and everything about forever. But I think Wedlock, given that the pilot episode is called Modern Love, is one of a host of new shows trying to explore how people even relate to each other nowadays and try and achieve some form of happiness or companionship with each other. Do you want to talk a little bit about how much of that was in your head while doing Wedlock?
Yeah, I mean, I think we come from a generation that is very driven in their goals, and there is the sense that if we don't do it the way that it's supposed to be, then we have failed, that we haven't succeeded. You know, if you don't meet the right person who's the love of your life and get married and have children and be in a secure job by the age of 29, then you failed. You've just thrown enough of your life. And that's something that, you know, I think is a little loosier-goosier in a place like Los Angeles, which is where the episode takes place, where the series takes place, rather. And so, you know, I'm kind of amused by the thought that people try so desperately to fit within the confines of what society thinks is right and wrong. And we decided to take that to the extreme version and create two characters who have decided that no matter what, they will succeed. They will fall in love. They will get married, and they will have their happily ever after, no matter what. And they put a lot of time and effort and discussion into it. They choose each other to do this with, and then they need somebody to help them enact it. So obviously, they go to the most world-renowned marriage therapist to make that magic happen. And I think they believe wholeheartedly that Dr. J really will be able to make it happen. You know, they just need a little bit of therapy to fall in love. That's all you really need.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not pills, it's probably going to be therapy. And if it's not therapy, then just, you know, try it again.
I ask, you really make it.
Yeah, can I ask, do you think that part of the DNA of the show, or maybe just the underlying message, is that people should try and be more okay with being okay by themselves?
I think that is true in life itself. You know, I think it's a reflection. The kind of comedy that I like is a reflection on how humans actually really behave in their world, but heightened to an extreme degree. And that's what Dave and Fiona represent to me, are, you know, real feelings that people have inside of themselves, and then, you know, multiplied by a million. But I think it's really important for people just to, like, sit back and be able to laugh at the parts of themselves that they might recognize a little bit in these clearly insane characters, and just give themselves a break and lay back and let life happen the way that it's supposed to happen, and be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely poking fun at actually silly behaviors that we've all just decided, no, that's not silly, that makes sense. That's cool. Keep going after that relationship.
As our director, Ross Partridge, likes to say that each of these characters is only a couple clicks off from who we really are as people for each of the actors, which I don't know if is necessarily true as far as a couple clicks, maybe 5 or 6 clicks off. But I definitely have a lot of that, you know, perfectionist drive in Fiona that Fiona has, where I just want things to go by the book and to be the way that they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be that way. And, you know, I have a little control freak in me also, so.
Yeah, to be honest, whenever I hear a character described the way that you've just described Fiona, or the way that I've seen descriptions of her online, I always get worried, and my mind immediately flashes back to Monica, to Courtney Cox, and go, oh, it's going to be the fun controller in the comedy. But I really didn't get any of that from your portrayal. It was just more someone who has an indomitable will and will do whatever it is they decide that they want to, and believes that with a confidence that is endearing and antagonizing.
Yeah, totally.
Can I ask, do you think that we're always going to keep coming back to these stories about love and finding the one person?
I mean, love is the great mystery of our lives, isn't it? I mean, there's so many books and films and television shows written about it, because it's something that we're constantly on the quest for. Even when we have love and we're in relationships with people that we really love, we're always looking for the deeper connection and the more romantic or the more beautiful version of it. And, in some ways it's really unhealthy, because it has these completely idealistic and unrealistic views of love and romance that makes it incredibly hard for you to compete with what you imagine it should be. But I don't think that we will ever move away from wanting to tell stories about love or explore those concepts, because it's such a huge part of who we are as people and what we all want. And I think ultimately what we all want is to love and to be loved. I feel like that's kind of the number one emotion that resides in everybody in the world.
Definitely. And I think something that I'm interested in, especially when there are so many stories about love out there, especially when if you hear the term RomCom, there are so many things that go along with that in your head, and expectations even of plot. Do you want to talk a little bit about how Wedlock conforms in some ways to that, and how it also subverts those, we'll call them genre restrictions?
Yeah, I think Wedlock is an un-rom-com. As Entertainment Weekly said, it is the least romantic web series ever, which is exactly what we were trying to accomplish. Which is kind of funny, because I am about as mushy as it gets. I love the sweeping romance. Give me a Jane Austen book any day. Give me a Jane Austen movie. I will watch it 17 times. So it's kind of ironic that I was one of the creators of the proclaimed least romantic web series ever. But I think that's fun. I think it's interesting to come at different themes from all different directions. To make it the most unbelievably beautiful romance in one story, and to make it the most contrived and controlled romance ever. And it's fun, and it's interesting to play with those genres. So we are an un-rom-com.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So, switching gears a little bit now, Fiona is very much the drive of the action. In my opinion, like the instigator of how things begin and how things start to come about, at least in the first few episodes of the series. And often women are kind of relegated to instead being the objective rather than the people trying to reach the objective, especially in any kind of relationship-based story. Do you want to talk a little bit about the landscape of roles for women, or maybe just of acting as a woman in Hollywood?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Fiona is such a strong, driven character, because that's what happens when the actress who plays her gets to create the show. So, I think that the landscape of women working in film and television and digital media is rapidly changing. It very quickly became part of the dialogue that's happening every single day, where people are recognizing that women are smart and funny and interesting and can span as much, if not more, emotional range as the next man. And I think that the more we take it into our own hands and not wait for the next person to create opportunity for us, the more women who find films to direct or write their own projects or create projects that star a female protagonist, the more we put ourselves into the world, the more it's going to just happen much more naturally. Because right now, it is very male-dominated. There are so many more male roles than there are female roles. But, with every project that comes across my computer, I guess you could say that, but it's all digital now. There's a shift towards it being more female-driven. And it every project doesn't need to be driven by a lead female character, but the more balance that we start to see, I think it's going to create dynamic and imaginative and interesting stories that people are going to connect to and want to watch. And I want to be a part of that, and I know that all the women that I work with also want to be a part of that. And a lot of men that I know also want to be a part of that. And everybody's working together to see what stories we can make that are going to be compelling to the audiences and how we can feature both men and women equally in those stories.
I mean, that would make sense. It is pretty much a 50-50 split in the world as we know it. So that's, I think that makes sense to me. So what kind of roles, what kind of projects are you considering next? Are you thinking of creating more of your own content? Or is there anything you can talk about?
I'm always thinking about creating my own content. I'm in the midst of trying to get the rights to a book that I won't talk about unless it actually happens. And I am quite literally throwing clothes into a suitcase as we speak because I get on a plane tomorrow morning to go to Ohio to shoot a film that is actually written by a young man. I think he is 24, I want to say. This is his first feature. He has some great shorts that premiered at South by Southwest, which is where we met. We hit it off, we got to talking, and he wrote this script for me and two other actresses. It's very female-driven, and again, he's a dude, and he wanted to create something that featured a much more feminine side and perspective. So it's two daughters and their mother, and they're all estranged from each other, and how they find their way back to becoming a family, whatever that means to them. So that's the next project that I'm doing. And the project that I have coming out very soon is called The Midnight Swim, which features three sisters that I play alongside Lindsay Burge and Alexa Palladino. So there's been a lot of really female-driven stories that I've been involved with over the past year, which is why I feel hopeful and excited rather than frustrated and bitter about the state of females working more prominently in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as there's another 24-year-old for me to be jealous of, I think everything's going to work out fine.
Yeah, totally.
So how about we wrap up? How about we end with an easy one? And it's been really lovely talking to you. You seem cool. You
seem cool too.
Well, thank you. And now that I have that recorded, you can never take it back. So let's just end in with an easy one. Is love real?
What's that?
Is love real? Can we find it? I find it? Can we all find it?
Love is so real. Love is everywhere. You just have to open your eyes and open your heart, and it comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes. We create our own families around us between the people that we create relationships and friendships with, and I hope that everybody finds love the way that I have, and that I hope that you have or that you will very soon. But love is what makes the world go round.
Oh, well, how about that for a lovely message for our disenfranchised, huddled and unwashed listeners. Wonderful. Okay.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, and good luck with Wedlock. I'm dying to get back to it and start to watch you do things that make me uncomfortable and nervous about my own behaviors.
Cool. I'll be right there with you. Don't worry.